Hello and welcome to episode 31 of Game Patrol, your weekly game show thingy podcast awesomeness with a really cool, awesome person who's finally back. It's Bakel. It's Lucas Bakel, everybody. Hey, how's it going?
It's going good.
Yeah, finally back. Let's talk, because we got Cyberpunk to talk about today, and Bakel and I have both played a ton. Hold on. Let me see how many hours.
I played a lot more ton than I have, but I played a good amount of ton.
A good amount of ton. I have just under 50 hours in the game. In a week.
Holy crap, dude.
A week.
That's
it is
good.
Nuts.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, that is definitely something. But yeah, we've played a bunch of Cyberpunk. We're here to talk about it. We're here to have a good time. But anyway, we got a bunch more cool stuff to talk about. This is going to be a fun episode. And so, getting into the games coming this week, it's pretty minimal because, you know, we got good old... Hold on, I got other stuff. But we got Christmas coming and all that. You know, game developers aren't exactly too keen on, you know, launching games during the holidays. And so, you know, it's going to be a little slow here, which is fine because we have plenty of games to play and discuss and all that. But tomorrow, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic 2. Yeah, that's right. That game is coming out on iOS and Android. 5 years after the events from the award-winning Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, the Sith Lords have hunted the Jedi to the edge of extinction and are on the verge of crushing the Old Republic. With the Jedi Order in ruin, the Republic's only hope is a lone Jedi struggling to reconnect with the Force. As this Jedi, you will be faced with the galaxy's most dire decision: follow the light side or succumb to the dark. Now, everybody loves KOTOR. It's one of the greatest RPGs ever made. A lot of people really love the sequel as well, and so now you can play it on your phone, which is nuts. I know. Aren't you a big fan of KOTOR, Bakel?
I really liked Star Wars Jedi Academy, which is kind of in the same realm, but not really.
Gotcha.
I never really played Knights of the Republic. It was kind of...
I just know you really want an Old Republic movie.
I think the lore of Old Republic is really cool.
Yeah.
I'm all into that, but I never really played it.
Gotcha.
Definitely into the lore, though.
Mm-hmm. But, yeah, we got the sequel coming out on mobile tomorrow because, you know, if you can milk that franchise anymore, go for it.
Do it.
Yeah. And then out on Wednesday, which we just finally got a release date for here at the Game Awards, I believe, was Super Meat Boy Forever for Nintendo Switch and PC. It's a Switch console launch exclusive. It's going to come out sometime in January for PlayStation and Xbox. But the sequel to Super Meat Boy is here, finally. Meat Boy and Bandage Girl must run, slide, tackle, jump, punch, and kick their way through over 7,000 levels to save their daughter Nugget from Dr. Fetus. Look at the graphics. It's a lot of levels. Look at the graphics, listen to music, sound and music, and push buttons in this genuine certified video game. Which, I gotta love that description. That's just great. Where it's like, you know, it literally... If you dumb it down, this description was, yes, there is combat, you play a lot of levels, listen, play, enjoy. There you go. But this game's been in development for, 10 years? Because it was 2010, I think, when the first Super Meat Boy came out. Like, this game just never released. Honestly, I wasn't expecting it to ever come out. I thought it was just going to be canceled. And
why didn't it release?
I don't know. It just...
Okay.
They just never finished it. I mean, then again, if there's 7,000 levels, I mean, I don't know, maybe it's just huge. I don't know. But yeah, they certainly had a hold on. My Discord just restarted. Well, as we deal with that, do I see you, bud? Are we back?
I don't see you.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on right now. I don't know, why can't you see me? Hello? There we go. All right.
Oh, there's your face.
Hi. So, yeah, my Discord decided to have some issues. And, the video doesn't show up because for some reason every time
I see your face, though.
Yeah, you see my face, but they don't see my face.
We have to reselect the window.
That's not what I wanted. There we go. Okay. So, That's out of the way. Super Meat Boy's out. Well, will be out very soon. But let's get into the gaming news this week. First off, we had just one more Nintendo Direct-ish thingy-majiggy. I really doubt we'll get another one. I mean, who knows, knock on wood, but this is probably the last one of the year. But they had an Indie World Showcase, was it 2 days ago? And we got some indie games highlighted, the biggest of which is Among Us, which is available now on the Switch. So now if you wanted to, play on the go but not on your phone, then there you go. Among Us is on Switch now. And so I think this is a fun, it's a good idea. It's a very kid-friendly game that is, very, highly trending. It's, a no-brainer to put on the Switch. So I'm sure it's going to do well. I know it was on top of the... basically, immediately after it came out, it became #1 on the bestsellers list on the eShop. So, people are buying it up and presumably having a ball. But also, the Spelunky games are coming out for Switch. They are both coming in 2021. Spelunky 1 will feature local multiplayer, while 2 will have online and local multiplayer. Then we've got a bunch of other games. Fist of Fluffs, Very Very Valet, Tunch, Cyber Shadow, Calico, Alba, Wildlife Adventure, Genosha, Happy Game, a bunch of other things. They also mentioned...
Sound like cool math games.
Yeah. Honestly. But, I guess one of the other big things is, they reiterated that Super Meat Boy Forever was coming, to Switch on Wednesday. And so, just a bunch of indie titles that if you're interested in, you can go watch that indie showcase. Secondly, this is the only big thing I'm going to talk about in terms of Cyberpunk since that is the main topic. But real quick, CD Projekt addresses why it didn't delay Cyberpunk 2077 again. So, in case you hadn't heard, Cyberpunk runs like donkey doo-doo on consoles.
Whoa, you died.
And I just unplugged my... This is not my episode. What can I say? I just unintentionally... Hold on. Stall.
I don't...
Alright, we're good.
Okay, you're back.
I accidentally unplugged the light. It's all good. I was messing with it with my foot, but yeah.
That's always a mistake, bud.
Yeah, I didn't realize I would pull it out, but
Got the strong toes.
I got them strong toes. What can I say? What can I say? But yeah, it runs like donkey doo-doo on consoles. So, basically, and the reason I want to bring this up is it's such a bullshit excuse. And so, let me see. What's a good thing to start with here? So, in an unscheduled investor call, senior members of CD Projekt were asked whether the company felt they had to release the game before 2021. SVP of Business Development, Mikhail Nowakowski, sorry if I mispronounced that, replied, "I wouldn't say that we felt any external or internal pressure to launch on the date, other than the normal pressure, which is typical for any release. It is more about us looking, as we previously stated, at the PC and next-gen performance rather than current-gen. We definitely did not spend enough time looking at that." Which is bullshit. There's literally an entire, section of jobs called QA testing, where you have people play the game and tell you, hey, this doesn't work, this works, this is good, this is bad. They had probably dozens of people playing the current gen version looking for bugs, and they said, this is a broken mess, and they said, this game was supposed to come out in April. Don't tell me they were focusing on PC and next gen. They didn't even realize it was going to come out on next gen until just a few months ago. And it's not even ready for next gen. It is a current gen game that is going to have optimizations later for next gen. That is absolute BS. They are plenty of people, they knew this game was buggy because they refused to give out console copies for reviewers. They only gave PC. Anytime a game critic requested a console copy of the game, they denied them. They only gave out PC copies. Tell me that they didn't realize that the console versions were not good.
They definitely knew.
Also, another thing, even on the PC side, because the PC side is very buggy as well, depending on what hardware you're running. When the reviews first came out, they were not allowed to show their gameplay. They had to show the pre-release footage that CD Projekt had released prior. They were not allowed to show footage that they captured. And it's like, it's so shady. And I'll get into this more when we talk about Cyberpunk, but basically, I don't blame the developers for this. You know, this is not a developer thing. This is a corporate thing. And I think that's the big takeaway, because I'm sure there are a bunch of developers on Cyberpunk on Twitter getting absolutely destroyed for something that isn't even their fault. You know, they don't make these decisions. This is all, you know, there's the corporate company and then there's the studio, the developers, and they're very, very different entities that control vastly different things. So it's not their fault, but it's a train wreck. And CD Projekt, personally, I think I don't want to necessarily say every single person in the corporate, but like whoever's responsible for this needs to lose their job. Like at this point, like that's how fed up I am with it, because this isn't the first thing, you know, getting delayed 3 weeks before it came out. All of these issues, all of the BS that we've been fed, that all comes from corporate. And so whoever came up with that, be it one person or 50, they need out. They need out, because CD Projekt Red is an amazing development studio. You know, they came out with all the Witcher games. Cyberpunk is still a fantastic game. It's one of my favorite games of the year. They make good games. They don't deserve this bullshit treatment. They don't deserve all of this anti-consumer practices, because after what happened with Cyberpunk, I don't really want to support the corporation. I want to support the developers, but I don't want to support CD Projekt Red. And, well, I guess CD Projekt, because Red would be the studio. But it's ridiculous. It's stupid. And it's just, they wanted the pre-order money, and so they intentionally said, and then they come out and say, oh, well, you guys can get refunds, but PlayStation is refusing to give out refunds. Like, and if you are on PlayStation 4 trying to get a refund right now, PlayStation will deny you.
I almost got it on PlayStation 4 too.
And yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, if you own we'll get into this later, but if you own a 2013 Xbox One or a base PS4, do not get this game. Xbox
17 frames, bro.
17 frames. No, seriously.
Not even a joke.
Not even a joke. It performs absolutely horribly. They came out with a hot fix that basically it didn't change the frames.
What's the point?
Well, it kept it from crashing, which is really funny because no, hold on. Here's the thing. It might have stopped most crashes on the version. Not all. Like this the most severe. But instead, what happens now, what people have been reporting, is that it basically just stops for a solid minute and a half. It's like, it freezes. It freezes for like over a minute. And it's like, instead of just hard crashing, it just tries really, really hard to get the game to work again.
It just processes.
Yeah.
And just keeps processing.
Keep processing.
God.
And so, it is an absolute trash heap. On One X and PS4 Pro, it does perform better, but not at, not near the level of PC or the next-gen versions as they are now. I know they're not complete. Yeah. I saw someone who played all the different versions rank them, and it seems... I'm not going to be able to look up his tweet because I don't remember. Actually, I know exactly who did it. It was John Linneman. So never mind, I will look it up because I don't want to get it wrong. But I believe it was Xbox Series X is the best way. Well, PC. PC is the best way to play Cyberpunk. And then... That's not what I wanted. I was looking up... Okay. Actually, he's the most recent person I looked up on Twitter, so there we go. It's going to be easy. But I just wish that it would load, because otherwise I would have it up at this point. But he's also He's also tweeting way too much. Here we go. Okay, so the PC version is best on medium to high-end gear, obvious. Like, if you have a low-spec PC, whatever. Xbox Series X is second best and pretty solid. Series S is kind of like a 2.5. It's a lower res, but it's also really solid. Like, you don't get 60 FPS on Series S, but it is a rock-solid 30, like, no dips. And so, if you want 30 FPS, 1080-ish resolution, every version has dynamic scaling on consoles, so you don't get, like, 4K or 1440 or 1080. It's a range depending on how much the processor is being used up or different aspects. Stadia and PS5 are basically about the same, and in that same regard, GeForce Now, they're both like third and fourth in their respective. They say that it runs better on Series X and PC. Like, this is someone who's tested the versions.
Definitely PC, but there's no way GeForce Now is like, because the Xbox doesn't even have ray tracing.
Not yet, which is true, but I'm trying to think what it runs at on Series X. I believe
GeForce Now is 2K60.
And Series X, I believe, hits that as well. And so, I don't know. But that was what John Lennon said.
They might be about this. They might be, I mean, if Xbox can run that the same as GeForce Now, it'll probably be a little better on Xbox just because no latency. But,
yeah,
it would definitely be better than Stadia and PS5 if it doesn't run that well.
Yeah. And basically, he says every other version isn't worth it. So, if you do not have a way to stream or a next-gen console or a good PC, don't get Cyberpunk. Like, that means that he's saying not even on Xbox One X or PS4 Pro. Just not to do it. For right now, they said, they came out with a statement, they are going to have another hotfix within the next week that will help improve a little bit, have some stability, fixes. But then in January, they're going to have a big patch, and in February, they're going to have a big patch. So they're working on two, big improvements to hopefully fix the majority of the issues. But, we'll see. If it was that easy to fix, they would have done it. So this is nowhere near over. But, yeah. So that is the beginning of many rants we're going to have on Cyberpunk this episode. But moving forward from that, let's go on to something a lot more happy. Multiple members of the original Mass Effect trilogy are back for the new Mass Effect, which everybody is calling Mass Effect 4 because no one cares about Andromeda. And so
I agree with that statement, though.
Yeah. So, I mean, Bakel here is our Mass Effect expert. And so
Likes that.
Yeah. And, that's why I made sure that we, do a talk about this. I showed him the trailer because he didn't watch the Game Awards. And so it was like the day after. I was like, did you watch the Mass Effect trailer? He was like, what?
Yeah. I still kind of like speechless over it, I have no idea what to expect, Like, it's just like.
Well, and this is also so far away. I mean, the majority of BioWare is working on Dragon Age 4, and so, they're just now going into pre-production. It's, it's a ways away, but it's still exciting, and they're, hiring a bunch of people now. So the Mass Effect project director, Mike Gamble, has singled out narrative designer Dusty Everman, who has worked on every single Mass Effect game, including Andromeda, and Parrish Lay, who worked on the original trilogy, as two of those who had left BioWare and returned to work on the new Mass Effect project. He also says that there are more ex-BioWare developers returning for the new game, saying, quote, "We've heard what Mass Effect means to you." So it really seems like they're doing their best to bring the absolute best Mass Effect experience they can in regards to following up the original trilogy and giving us something special.
Quadruple A game.
They also made some... That'd be awesome. Yeah. But they've made some comments on Twitter, apparently. I haven't seen them, but I've heard talk that apparently they are going to at least attempt to tie in Andromeda. Like, they're obviously not going to... Like, if including the storyline of Andromeda hampers the game in any way, they're not going to do it, obviously. But, like, they want to find a way to make it to where Andromeda just never existed. Was essentially what they were saying. But they also don't want it to ruin the game. So it's like...
I would be okay if it was just, like, one, like, dialogue. Just, like, referenced it, and that was it.
Well, it's going to be interesting because, I mean, we talked about this, Bakel, that it seems to be going after the destroy ending in Mass Effect 3, where the Mass Effect relays are destroyed, which means this Liara we see, who does look older, you know, it probably took her a long time to get to that spot because they don't have the relays to travel anymore.
The relays are gone.
And so this could be decades after Mass Effect 3. But in terms of Andromeda, it's like... It's technically set way after the Mass Effect games, but they don't know anything that's occurred because of, you know, the time it took to travel, all that. And so, like, technically, this game will probably be set before Andromeda. So in terms of, you know, connecting it narratively, you know, maybe we'll see some of the races from Andromeda come over or something. I don't know. But, yeah. But there's been talk. And, you know, we got a bunch of OGs from, you know, the Mass Effect world coming back.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Completely.
Even though Casey Hudson just left again, which is nuts because in 5 years he's left BioWare twice, and he was basically in charge of Mass Effect. Like, so you know, Casey Hudson, he led the Mass Effect trilogy. Then he left. They released Andromeda. He said, fuck that, and came back, and now he's left again. So...
Why doesn't he come back?
We're not sure. The only game he shipped was Anthem. So that doesn't bode well for his quality. But, like, it's like, you know, he obviously knows what he's doing with Mass Effect, and so did he, you know, we're seeing all these members coming back, so did he be like, hey, you guys have to do this for Mass Effect 4. Like, you need to do this. And then he's like, he sees that it's going in good shape, and he's like, okay, I'm out of here. Like, was that his plan? Or, you know, like, is he like, hey, I don't want to do another Mass Effect game, but the people want it, and so if you're going to do it, you got to do it like this. And so, you know, was that why he came back? I don't know. But, yeah, he's left again, which is concerning. But they're also, like I said, bringing back a lot of original talent, and so hopefully we can get a true successor to Mass Effect 3.
I think it'll be...
Yeah.
I'm excited.
I am excited as well. And so, looking forward to the Game Awards that just happened. First off, apologies for uploading last week's episode really late. It was all about Game Awards predictions, and I didn't put it up until like 2 days ago because I was obsessed with Cyberpunk. And so, apologies for that. That was super late.
Yeah.
But, you know, Game Awards have happened, and The Last of Us literally took out, like, everything. So, we'll go over it real quickly. Game of the Year, Last of Us Part 2. Best Game Direction, Last of Us Part 2. Best Narrative, Last of Us Part 2. Best Art Direction, Ghost of Tsushima. Best Score/Music, Final Fantasy VII Remake, which has a soundtrack that's 13 years old, but okay. Best Audio Design, Last of Us Part 2. Best Performance, Laura Bailey as Abby, Last of Us Part 2. Games for Impact, Tell Me Why, which is a very awesome game, so I'm happy to see that it, you know, got an award.
I don't know about that one.
Tell Me Why?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I don't know what that is.
Oh, gotcha. Remember, I told you about it here on this podcast, actually. It's the one that is a Don't Nod, and it was published by Xbox, and it deals with twins that one of them is trans. And it's like a narrative, kind of like Walking Dead style game. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that.
Yeah. It's an episodic game, 3 episodes. Really good. And yeah, it does a lot of really cool stuff. Like, I think this is the best portrayal of a trans character in video games. And it's the first one where a main character has been trans. And so it's really good. Also, for those of you who care, there is a trans character in Cyberpunk who is a side character, not a main character, but she does have some... you know, she has her own like quest line and that sort of thing. You don't realize she's trans until you get most of the way through her quest line. In fact, I doubt Bakel even knows who it is. But yeah, there is a trans character in Cyberpunk, so that's pretty cool too. But yeah, does a lot of really cool stuff for the trans community. It's a really fun game. Heavily recommend it. It's on Game Pass, so if you have that, you can check it out. But best ongoing game, Bakel, you'll like this, No Man's Sky.
Hey, that's pretty good.
Literally,
They've been doing a good job.
What's his name? Do you remember the name of the director? No.
I barely remember the name of the studio.
It's Hello Games. It's on the tip of my tongue, but I cannot for the life of me remember. But he literally, like, because it was live streamed and everything, he was mid-drink when it got announced. You could tell this man did not expect to win. Because, like, as they showed his face, he was like, what?
He's like, what, I mean, Ward?
What? Oh, hi, thanks. And so it was hilarious. But yeah, 5 years later,
He deserved it though.
Yeah,
They really come a long way.
they've come a long way. So yeah, that won best ongoing game, best indie game. My boy Hades, which deserved it 100%.
Hey. Yeah, it did.
Yes.
I played like 8 hours of that game. Wasn't that much, but I still loved the hell out of that game.
I just escaped this morning. I finally.
I saw Twitter that you're like, man,
Yeah.
this game is beautiful.
Yep. I finally made my first escape, and then I just went right back because mild spoiler alert for Hades. So like skip a couple seconds ahead if you care, but the game is not over when you escape. And so I haven't rolled credits yet, but I beat the final boss, and now I'm ready. And it's there's a lot of really cool things to do after your first escape attempt. There's a lot of really cool ways that they sort of make things fresh still. So it still is not repetitive. Every run is fun and amazing and exciting, and it's just such a phenomenal game. It's one of the best games of the year, period. Not just indie, but just. I mean, that's why it got nominated for Game of the Year. And, it lost to Last of Us, which is a thing. But best debut game, Phasmophobia, which is interesting because it's not even full release. It's in early access. But best mobile game, Among Us. Best community support, Fall Guys. Best VR game, Half-Life Alyx. If anything else would have won, I would have rioted.
Yeah, literally nothing can beat that game.
Yeah.
Just from what I've seen, it's nuts.
Innovation and accessibility, The Last of Us, which okay, they do have a lot of accessible options there. Might not have necessarily been my pick, but they do have a lot of accessibility options in The Last of Us Part 2, so I'll give it that. Best action game, Hades. Best action adventure game, Last of Us. Best RPG, Final Fantasy VII Remake, which I mean, I forget what are the other RPGs that came out this year? Because I don't think they classified Ghost. I mean, I guess I don't think there was really a whole lot of competition. But like, Final Fantasy VII is really good. It just goes on for too long. That's my main problem. I hope they scale back a little bit for Part 2. But best fighting game, Mortal Kombat 11 Ultimate, which Bakel and I are actually going to play on PS5 tomorrow. I'm really excited to check it out. Yeah, because I finally have a co-op game on PS5, so I'm like, yeah, let's do it.
I have a PS5 controller.
Yeah, because that's another thing too, because I didn't really want to buy another PS5 controller because those things are expensive. Like if they had if they had different options, that's what I want. Like I don't want two of the same controller. I want different colors, man.
I'm the same way. I would not have gotten two. I don't know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have got two.
Yeah. Like if they release a new color or like some new variant of the DualSense, I'll buy it. I'll do it. And it's just they haven't right now. It makes me sad. But best family game is Animal Crossing New Horizons, which makes sense. They had to give it something. A lot of people have been rioting because Animal Crossing didn't really win much of anything. But to be fair, it doesn't really fit many categories besides like Game of the Year or Family Game. Like it doesn't really lend itself to any categories.
It's its own kind of genre. Like I can't think of any game like Animal Crossing.
Yeah.
Like not like you can kind of put it in the Stardew Valley area, but it's not even really like that.
Yeah. So, but yeah, a lot of Nintendo fans were upset at the Game Awards. But best sim/strategy game, Microsoft Flight Simulator, heavily deserved. Best sports/racing game, I love that this one. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Let's go. And honestly, it had some pretty tough competition. Well, I don't know. It was a sort of off year for racing and sports games, but like, you know, they had some decent stuff up there. Best multiplayer game, Among Us, which I personally agree with just because I think it provided the best multiplayer experience of the year for myself in terms of just bringing people together that weren't even gamers necessarily, you know.
I never played it.
It's really good, man. It's really good. It's a lot of fun. We'll have to get you in there sometime. We'll play Among Us with like Allison and a bunch of different stuff. We'll get gang together. Content Creator of the Year, Valkyrie. Best Esports Athlete, Heyo Showmaker Sue. Best Esports Coach, Danny Zonik Sorensen. Best Esports Event, League of Legends World Championship 2020. Best Esports Game, League of Legends. Best Esports Host, FG Scots. Don't know if I pronounced that right. Deporter. Best Esports Team, G2 Esports. So, those were all the winners from the Game Awards. And, yeah, Last of Us cleaned up. They won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 awards.
Yeah, they paid him off, bro. Ghost of Tsushima should have won all of them.
I don't.
But I think Ghost of Tsushima definitely deserved Game of the Year.
Yes. Yes. I don't believe they were paid off. I just think Last of Us fans are nuts. The thing is I do understand why it won awards. Like, I don't think it's a bad game. The problem that keeps it from being Game of the Year for me is because it has some high highs. Like, if I had to pick best game scene of 2020, Last of Us would win. Like, 100%. It has had some of the best moments. It has the best moment I've ever played in a video game this year. But it also has some of the worst moments I've played in a video game this year. It has some low lows, very similar to Cyberpunk, where it's like, I mean, it didn't have performance issues, but there are just some parts of that game that I hated playing. And so that's why it's not Game of the Year for me. But there are fans of this game that absolutely adore it. And the push to make it Game of the Year and to give it this stuff, like, I have no doubt people were voting. Like, because some of this stuff, like, I'm trying to really see, like, best audio design. Like, I mean, not to say that it doesn't have good audio design, but why The Last of Us versus anything else?
Yeah.
And personally, I literally think that best art direction, like, I'm happy that Ghost of Tsushima won, but Ori and the Will of the Wisps deserve that win. The problem, I think, is that Ghost of Tsushima literally did not win anything else, and it would have been a crime if it got absolutely snubbed at the Game Awards.
Literally, like, if they didn't give it anything, no.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even care what the Game Awards said anymore, because that's just BS.
Yeah, so part of me thinks that this was just kind of given to Ghost so that it had something, but then Will of the Wisps got snubbed because it got, I think, like 2 nominations. Like, it was kind of a little bit of an atrocity that Will of the Wisps didn't get more nominations. And here we go, the one that it was a shoo-in for, it loses to Ghost, which again has fantastic art. But personally, in my opinion, best game direction should have went to Ghost. At the very, like, 100%.
Yeah.
Like, again, I understand Game of the Year, whatever, but game direction, that was a shoo-in for Ghost, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
Because
they definitely, like, it's a perfect samurai game.
Yeah. And I mean, without getting into spoilers for Last of Us, because it is such a big, narrative-driven game, the way that it is structured, the way that it is directed is the most, like, it is the poorest aspect of the game. I believe the narrative is great, but the way it is structured in terms of the pacing, and people who have played the game know exactly what I'm talking about, because it's difficult to explain without spoiling it, but the way in which the game is structured is honestly pretty garbage. And so, that's why it's so sad, because it does have some of the best moments of a video game I maybe have ever played, but there's also some moments that are just so not fun to play. And it's just, yeah, it's definitely a polarizing game, and the fact that it swept the Game Awards is stupid. And it's like, Yeah, I mean, and you look at Game Awards in the past, honestly, everything's pretty spread out. Like, you don't really see a game clean up at the Game Awards. And of all games to do it, The Last of Us Part 2 is the one to.
Yeah.
I don't buy it. Like, the brand name is what got it to where it was. And that's the main thing. I mean, if this would have been... Go ahead.
I definitely expected The Last of Us to win something, but I did not expect it to win basically everything.
Everything it could have won, it won, basically.
Yeah.
And so,
no.
Yeah, it's just... I guarantee if this was not a Last of Us game, if this would have been the first of them, then it would have, it wouldn't have won. It might have gotten a couple awards, but it would not have won, like, cleaned up the Game Awards. Because it's not, like, it's the brand name that got it to where it was. And I know it sounds like I'm hating on the game. It's just, the game is overhyped for what it got here. I think some people, give it too much criticism. The people that say because of that certain story spoiler that, it's a terrible game. That's absolutely false. I don't believe that specific reason people hate on it is a bad thing. In fact, I thought it was done very well. But there are things to fault with this game. And a lot of people don't care because it's Last of Us. And, that's just my opinion.
I just feel bad for the other games that definitely got, like, their opportunity taken away because some big studio just existed.
Yeah.
But
then again, I mean, you look at these things like Ghost of Tsushima, like we're talking, like, oh, this really sucks. Ghost of Tsushima sold like hotcakes. So, like, they didn't lose here. They really didn't. They made a butt ton of money. And so we make a big deal out of this, and it's like, they know their game is loved. It won people's choice. I mean, when it came down to just people voting for their favorite game, Ghost of Tsushima was Game of the Year. And,
yes, it should have.
That speaks enough to how people felt about the game. And so, it was really close, though. Last of Us Part 2 came in pretty close. But
yeah, I mean, Ghost is just one of those games that's just easy to hop into and just get taken away by the world, so...
I got into an argument with someone because they were pissed that Animal Crossing didn't win. And I was making the case for Ghost of Tsushima, and they said Ghost of Tsushima is literally, it does nothing new. It's completely generic. I said, okay, I understand where you're coming from, but if the hill you're dying on is Animal Crossing, you're trying to tell me that Ghost of Tsushima is generic when you're playing the 8th version of the same game? I'm like, what? And she was like, well, Animal Crossing has done so much for 2020, has done so much. And I'm like, that's 100% true. So did Pokemon Go in 2016, but you didn't see it winning Game of the Year. And it's like, but that was different. And I said, so is everything. Like, you got to look at it both, because I think both are amazing games. Don't get me wrong. I don't want to trash on Animal Crossing either. But I think both games, in their own regard, neither did anything revolutionary. I will agree. But what makes them special is that they don't have anything to fault, really. Like, when you look at Ghost of Tsushima and when you look at Animal Crossing, they take the best respective parts of their genres, and that's all there is. They don't really have much of a weak spot. And so, whereas the games that do these revolutionary new things, there's usually a couple areas where it's like, yeah, this was kind of weak, but, like, this is so amazing right here. In the meantime, Ghost and Animal Crossing took what was so amazing about all these games that did this hard work, and they put them all together to make one really special game. And so, while it's a valid point, that you can say that, Ghost or Animal Crossing didn't do anything unique, technically it did, in that it came out with they both came out with fully complete experiences that don't have the faults of some of the more groundbreaking games, where it's a well put together experience for both genres.
Really, the only thing really Ghost did was just like kind of add like a good combat system. Like, other than that,
yeah,
definitely just a Breath of the Wild-ish clone.
It was like, Assassin's Creed and Breath of the Wild samurai version.
Yeah. Yep, that's basically what the game is. But that's okay.
Yeah, because again, they took the best parts of those games and they merged them all into one. It's very similar to like Immortals Phoenix Rising, you know? And
I still gotta play that game. Ugh.
It's so good. But yeah, it's, you know, we'll move on from the Game Awards now and get into another Game Awards topic. And so we still haven't even gotten to Cyberpunk, but I don't know if I necessarily want to do all. We'll kind of hurry through this a little bit, but there were a ton of Game Awards announcements. There's some that I do really, really want to get to because there are some really big reveals that happened at the Game Awards. We already talked about one of them. But we'll go through some of the smaller ones real quick here. Devolver Digital announced Loop Hero. Chia was announced. Sea of Solitude is coming to Nintendo Switch on March 4th. Shady Part of Me is a new Focus Home interactive game, which is now available on PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. The Nier Replicant remaster is coming April 23rd. We got some new gameplay for that. Century Age of Ashes was revealed. We got a new Smash fighter at Sephiroth. Like, don't get me wrong. I love Cloud. I love Final Fantasy VII. I think the remake is one of the best games of the year. But we already have not only a Final Fantasy character. Like, it would have been fine if they added, like, Noctis or, like, some other Final Fantasy character. But we already have a Final Fantasy VII character. We already have Cloud. Why do we need Sephiroth? If this was, like, a Nintendo exclusive franchise, I would understand. But this isn't even Nintendo. I mean, Final Fantasy VII just came to Nintendo like a couple years ago. Why are we getting multiple characters from that one game? Like, I want Waluigi, damn it. Come on. But yeah, he's coming sometime in December. Personally, yeah, I don't see how he's going to be all that different. Like, I watched the trailer. It's like, okay, I'm interested to see the deep dive. Personally, I'm not expecting too much from this. But yeah, he got announced. That's cool. On the other hand, Perfect Dark has finally been revealed, and it is the big quadruple A video game that the initiative has been working on over at Xbox. And so it is going to be first person, just like the originals. It's going to have an eco sci-fi, very much like it, but, you know, a reimagining. Sort of like Tomb Raider 2013, how it reimagined the Tomb Raider franchise. That is how Perfect Dark is going to be. We have no idea when it's going to come out, but the rumors are true. We've known about this for a long time. They finally confirmed it. But, yeah.
It's like Cyberpunk.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it'll be a less buggy version of Cyberpunk. But, you know, we'll see. I'm excited. Just, it's still the quadruple A experience for me. That's why it's like, because these games, when you get to Cyberpunk, we don't honestly have a ton of Cyberpunk games out there, but it's kind of hard to be original with it. I think Cyberpunk did a good job of distinguishing themselves in the genre, because, you know, it is very similar to Deus Ex. You know, I love the Deus Ex games. You know, I played Human Revolution and Mankind Divided, and it does seem very similar, but it does a lot of cool narrative stuff that's different. And so I'm very interested to see how Perfect Dark, you know, finds its own avenue. And because of the resources going into it, I hope that means good things for that it can be something. It can kind of set itself apart in that little subgenre. But that's exciting. And then Turtle Rock is back, baby. After Evolve was a dumpster fire, they said, okay, you guys want Left 4 Dead? Okay, Back for Blood, because Valve owns Left 4 Dead. This is literally Left 4 Dead 3, just not with a trademark. And it's coming in June, and it's exciting. And yeah.
This should be very exciting.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited to check this out. I hope it's good. Honestly, I wasn't too impressed by the gameplay trailer they had. It seemed a little outdated to me, personally. It seemed like a game that was like, it felt like a late 360 era game to me. And so I wasn't really impressed by it, but I'm just excited for more Left 4 Dead at this point. So it's like,
to be honest though, Left 4 Dead, like, I just played that this year, and it still holds up pretty good.
Yeah. So as long as they nail the fundamentals, which I mean, you know, they
invented the fundamentals.
Exactly.
They screw them up.
Exactly. Like I have very little doubts with the game, but yeah, that's the thing. So, Hood Outlaws and Legends got announced for May 7th with if you get an early access pre-order. That's a game that comes out, I guess, I believe that's the one. I think that's the game where it's basically like a mix of Assassin's Creed Valhalla and For Honor. So you do like multiplayer raids, which could be interesting, but it's the studio that's making it isn't very big, and I feel like that's a really ambitious idea that I'm not sure a non-AAA studio could do effectively. But yeah, it actually is technically launching on May 10th, so I feel like I should get it since that's my birthday anyway. I feel like that's fate, but I don't know. Scavengers got a beta announcement. The Cyberpunk 2077 car, which I have yet to see in game, is coming to Forza Horizon 4. Remember, I have 50 hours in this game, and I have yet to see that car. But yeah, it's coming to Forza 4. It was available for free on the 11th, so you can get that now. The Callisto Protocol was announced, which this is really interesting. It is a sci-fi horror game set in the PUBG universe. But it's being made by the Dead Space creator, who's calling it a spiritual successor to Dead Space. And it comes out in 2022, and it looks incredible. I don't know why the heck they connected it to PUBG, but I'm still excited because I love Dead Space.
Dead Space was a great series.
Yeah, they just came out with a little teaser trailer, and it looks really cool, and it does look very similar to Dead Space. Like, I'm talking health bar on the back, creepy creatures, the whole shebang. But yeah.
Like, screw it, Dead Space.
Yeah, they're like, EA won't let us make Dead Space 4. We'll do our own thing. Fine. So we're.
I love how there's a couple studios that have just basically gone rogue with it. They're just like, screw you guys.
We got Back for Blood and Callisto Protocol. So it's like, yeah, basically that's kind of that's what you do nowadays. But we got some Warhammer 40,000 Darktide gameplay. Open Roads got announced, which people are really excited about. It's a narrative-driven experience that centers around a mother and daughter's road trip. The aesthetic, I would really recommend you guys look up the trailer for this if you're into like narrative-driven indie titles. It's got some pretty cool talent behind it. Carrie Russell, who is a really famous actress, she is doing the voice work in the game. And Annapurna Interactive is publishing this game, which Annapurna, they come out with some of the coolest, most unique movies out there, and just recently they started their own game publishing studio, and they come out with some of the best indie games, out there right now. I'm trying to think, what was the last game? Oh, The Pathless. The Pathless was the last game they shipped, which is one of my personal favorite games of the year. It's really awesome. So, yeah, they just got announced another game. But we're also getting Disco Elysium Final Cut. So basically, it will have new voiceovers for every line and new quests, and it is coming to consoles in 2021, and also to Switch. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, it's also going to be a free upgrade. So if you own Disco Elysium now, you'll get it upgraded for free.
Hey, I'm on Steam.
Yep. We got a new look at Dragon Age 4, which was literally nothing. I was sure we were going to see gameplay, but no, I don't know. Like, on one hand, it's, like, cool because they're taking their time. They know this is make or break for them. And I think that's also why they're pushing the Mass Effect stuff, because they know if they mess up with Dragon Age 4, they're done. Like, just done. And so I think they're taking their time on Dragon Age 4. They don't want to mess it up. But if for some reason they do, they want us to know that, hey, you're getting Mass Effect 4. Please don't leave us behind. But yeah, this game's taking forever. We've gotten so many teases that have been the same thing, just reskinned, and it's just, yeah, whatever, I guess. It gives me plenty of time to beat the games, though, because I've played Dragon Age Origins God knows how many times, but I've never beaten it, and I've never played 2 or Inquisition, so it gives me time. I'll probably 100% all 3 of them before this game comes out, but, whatever.
Isn't one of them pretty bad?
2 is supposedly pretty bad, but I gotta play it because this is the completionist in me. But yeah, I people don't like 2 very much. But anyway, I mean, it still has favorable reviews. It's not like Andromeda or Anthem. Like, you know, people still enjoyed it. It's just, you know, the weakest of the three. But Endless Dungeon got announced. Crimson Desert got its first gameplay trailer. Swedish Chef from the Muppets is available now as a playable chef in Overcooked. So,
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Low-key, like,
I like that.
I actually do plan. They came out with an overhauled version of the first two Overcooked games for next gen, for PS5 and Xbox One, and I really want to pick it up. And so at some point, I'm going to pick it up.
I mean, if you get Overcooked, Matt also has an Xbox or a PlayStation controller.
Yeah, no, that'll happen at some point. I don't know when. You know, things are pretty crazy right now, but at some point, I do want to pick up Overcooked All You Can Eat, which is what it's called. But yeah, be able to play Swedish Chef. The season has been revealed, and it is an absolutely stunning game. It's an indie game coming from Scavenger Studios and features like some Studio Ghibli like visuals. It looks really good, and it got announced for the PS5, so definitely go check that out if you're interested. Call of Duty Black Ops Warzone got a Season 1 trailer. Ark 2 was announced, and it stars Vin Diesel, who is developing the game. Okay. They also announced an animated series for Ark that features an origin story based on the game. But yeah, it's also exclusive to Xbox and PC. So, there you go. You got another Xbox exclusive. It looks really good graphically. It's just, I guess this one's going to be like a narrative game, which is not at all what the first game was. So it's like
a survival building.
Yeah.
Have pet dinosaurs game.
I don't know, man. But yeah, that was a thing that happened. Diesel. Yeah, Vin Diesel, man. He just, okay, man. To be fair, he made some good video games, like the Chronicle, because this isn't the first video game he's developed. He made Chronicles of Riddick: Escape from Butcher Bay, which was one of the highest rated Xbox games ever made back in like 2003. But yeah, Fall Guys got a Season 3 trailer. Outriders got a new trailer. They just came out with a. If you are a part of the Insider Xbox program, you can jump into a beta of the game right now. Technically, they aren't supposed to talk about it, but I have heard some rumblings that it runs like shit. And so a lot of people are really not excited for this game. It comes out February 2nd. I personally am excited. I really want to check it out because it basically looks like Destiny meets Mass Effect. But yeah, any game that tries to do the games as a service model usually ends up being kind of garbo, so We'll see. I will not be surprised if this game flops, but I do have some hope for it. Evil Dead, the game, got announced, which we're not exactly sure how it plays, but it kind of looks like it might be a Left 4 Dead-esque game, which I'm excited about because I just got into the Evil Dead franchise this Halloween, and the show is a criminally underrated show that you have to watch. It is a travesty that show got canceled because it was so good. But yeah, it features characters from all over. Like you can play as, obviously Ash. You can play as what's his name? Was it the king in Army of Darkness? I forget his name. But you can play as some of the knights from Army of Darkness. You can play as his friends in the show, which I forget their names now too. Kelly I think it was Kelly was the girl's name. But it's I'm excited. I don't think this is going to be, it's not like a AAA game or anything like that, but I think it's going to be a fun co-op experience to have if you're fans of Evil Dead. And that comes out, I believe, in the summer. Ghost and Goblins Resurrection was announced for Nintendo Switch, so they did kind of remasters / remakes of the Ghosts and Goblins games that come out on February 25th. Returnal, which is PlayStation Studios' big spring 2021 PS5 game, got a gameplay trailer and a release date of March 19th. And honestly, I wasn't super impressed. If you forget, Returnal was the game that got announced, I believe, at their PlayStation 5 showcase a little while back. That was basically about the astronaut who gets stranded on an island or on a planet and has to repeat the same day over and over again. So it's kind of like intergalactic Groundhog Day. the gameplay looked very like generic third-person shootery, but like exploration-esque. Like, it kind of reminded me of No Man's Sky when it first launched, but instead of the open world exploration, it's like narrative driven, but with the gameplay of original No Man's Sky, which, like, I'm not saying the game's going to be bad, it's just I wasn't necessarily impressed by it. But this will be the 4th next-gen game we'll ever get, because most games are cross-gen, and so far, the only games to have released that are for next-gen specifically are Astro's Playroom, Demon's Souls, what was the other one? Godfall. Then we'll get the Medium in January, which is the 4th one. And then the 5th one is actually going to be Destruction All-Stars in February. And so this will be the 6th, like, fully next-gen game, because it's not cross-gen. It's only on PS5. And so that much, at least, I'm excited for, because then it's not bottlenecked by the PS4, like the 2013 PS4. So I'm still interested in it, and I'll probably check it out, but I wasn't really super impressed by the gameplay they showed off. It Takes Two got its first gameplay trailer, and that is Hazelight's new project, the makers of A Way Out, about a couple that gets turned into dolls, and they have to, get back, and so it deals with relationship issues and finding love again and all that sort of stuff. So I'm very excited to play that with my lover Bakel.
Oh, yeah,
but
me too.
Yeah, comes out March 26th. I'm really excited. A Way Out is probably my favorite co-op experience ever.
Yeah, that game was awesome.
And so I'm really excited to see Joseph Fares' new project. And so it looks a lot different than A Way Out, but still having that co-op mechanic, that they invented basically for A Way Out. Super Meat Boy Forever got its release date. We talked about that earlier. Oddworld Soulstorm is coming in spring 2021 for PS4, PS5, and the Epic Game Store. The Elder Scrolls Online Gates of Oblivion was announced, and it's going to get a global reveal event in on January 21st. So
Do
it just
people still play that game, or
people are obsessed with the Elder Scrolls Online. It's like, I'm trying to think of another game. I would say it's kind of similar to like No Man's Sky, where it's like it has a very dedicated fan base where you don't necessarily see it in the headlines all the time. There's a bunch of people that live and breathe by that game. And so
I could see that. I played a little bit of it, and it's pretty fun.
we played it together on Stadia.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
I knew
Yeah.
I played it somewhere.
Yeah,
But
I would agree. It's fun-ish. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got a new trailer for Monster Hunter Rise, and there is a limited time demo coming in January. And I mean, it looks like a Switch game, but it's nuts because it's running on the same engine that Resident Evil 7 and Devil May Cry 5 is on. It's running on the RE7 engine, which is just nuts. It's nuts that engine can run on a Switch. But
yeah, that's kind of insane.
Yeah. But you can definitely tell it's a Switch game, though. Graphically, it's not like anything super duper impressive, but it does look good. We got a look at the new Among Us map that's coming in early 2021. Master Chief is coming to Fortnite, so now we have Kratos and Master Chief. We're just waiting for Samus to come through, which has not been confirmed. I'm just saying, like, that would be... Because Samus is the only one that makes sense, because I don't think Nintendo wants Fortnite to give Mario or Link a gun. So Samus is the only one that makes sense. But
I don't think they should have given Kratos a gun.
Yeah, that's definitely weird.
Disrespecting my man Kratos there.
Yeah. But Master Chief, that's a good addition. Who would have...
That would make sense.
Would there have been a good PlayStation one? I can't really think of a good like PlayStation mascot with a gun.
Nathan Drake.
Oh yeah, Nathan Drake would have been a good one. But I guess it's been a while. Like, it's been 4 years since the last Uncharted.
Is it really? Jesus.
Yeah, that's nuts. Yeah,
I feel like it just came out not that long ago.
Yeah, 2016 was A Thief's End. Sense. I mean, I guess Lost Legacy. When was that? Was that 2017? That didn't star Nathan Drake, of course, but yeah, it's been a while. But we also got a release window for Scarlet Nexus, which is Bandai Namco's new anime game, because they tend to always have those. Though I will say, Code Vein just came on Game Pass for Xbox One. It's not on PC, but most console Game Pass games eventually come to PC. But heavily underrated game. If you like anime and you like Dark Souls, it is a fantastic game. Heavily recommend it. Code Vein, really, really good. But yeah, Scarlet Nexus coming out in the summer of 2021. Just Cause is getting a mobile game. Okay. Ruined King, a League of Legends story. We got a first look. It's coming in 2021. And then we got the Mass Effect teaser. That was like the final, like, bodonk. And so, all that. Nah, man, it's an exciting time. It's an exciting time to be a gamer. And so, that was all the stuff that happened at the Game Awards. They just did not let up. But, yeah. So, there we go. There's that. Now, it's time to talk about Cyberpunk. So, we've been going on for an hour already, but we'll continue talking some more about Cyberpunk. I'm trying to think, is there anything really more that you want to say about the last-gen version specifically? I'm trying to think, because again, it's like, it's 17 FPS, it runs like garbage, do not get this.
Yeah, do not get it, but I don't think I said, I don't really care that much that they released it kind of buggy and like shit on last gen, because like I honestly didn't even think it was gonna be a like this gen game, like a last gen game. I thought it was gonna be just the new gen.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
but, my thing is, it's reminded me a lot of Skyrim.
Mm-hmm.
How it was when it launched in the beginning.
The thing is, though, is that Skyrim didn't launch on 360 and PS3 running at 17 FPS and with multiple crashes like every single like hour. That's the main problem. Like, yes, Skyrim and basically every Bethesda game ever released, they're bug fests, don't get me wrong, but they do functionally work for the most part. Cyberpunk just doesn't function on last gen, and I think the reason why people are so upset is because this was supposed to come out on these consoles in April. This was not a next-gen game. It's been in development for 8 years. Like, why does it not... Like, I understand. It is an ambitious game. I understand why it doesn't work on last gen. It's just, these developers needed to scale back. Like...
Yeah, they needed to make a little lower in the graphics settings. Like, have you played it on, like, all the way turned down?
Mm-mm.
It still looks pretty good.
Yeah. It is a terribly optimized game, and so they either needed to scale back or just flat out cancel the last gen versions.
Yeah, for honestly, like if it's not getting consistently 30 FPS, it should not be a console game.
Yes. 100%. I mean, there were PS3 and Xbox 360 games running at 60 FPS. Here it is 2020 and you're coming out with a console game that is running at 17 FPS average.
Yeah, that's not acceptable.
Unacceptable. Absolutely ridiculous.
Especially for $60.
Yes, for $60. And, you know, these people that were promised, you know, this like coming off of The Witcher, which was also a buggy game when it launched, not near as bad as this. But, you know, we've been waiting for this game for so long, and they, you know, it was developed with these consoles in mind, you know? Like,
yeah.
If it would have been a next-gen game that they're like, okay, it's also going to come on here, like, for instance, Microsoft Flight Simulator. There's been some rumors it's going to get... It was supposed to come out on Xbox One and Series X. It got a summer 2021 release date, actually at the Game Awards. I don't know why that wasn't in that article there, but it's coming to Series X in summer of 2021. They didn't say anything about the Xbox One version, and so people are wondering if it's going to get canceled because it can't run well. But people will understand because, like, Microsoft Flight Simulator is a difficult, like, that is a beefcake of a game. And so...
270s can't even really run it that well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, RTX
2070s. Yeah.
270s can't even run it that well.
Yeah.
It's like I've seen my uncle's computer run it, and he had to literally buy a new graphics card just to...
Yeah. And so it's like, if they do come out with an Xbox One version, you know that's not going to be the best experience. It's going to be like playing it on a Switch, or like playing, you know, like Doom or Wolfenstein on a Switch, you know, like you know that. But the thing is that CD Projekt didn't let us know that in advance. Like, we had no way of knowing that in advance.
Yeah, they were kind of scummy about the whole console like like even like the information like surrounding it to like that people knew about it in the beginning. Like they're pretty scummy about hiding it.
Yeah.
Because they definitely were hiding it. Like there's no way they weren't hiding it.
Yeah. I mean, like I said earlier about, the fact that they would not let people have console copies of the game. They wouldn't give out review copies for console. It was only PC. You can't tell me that they didn't know about the problem and they weren't trying to hide it. Like, they got caught red-handed, and now, like, they're just like, oh, we didn't know. Like, come on.
God.
But, I mean, I do want to get into some good stuff because it's a travesty.
Let's stop trashing the game.
Yeah,
think we hate it.
Let's take a second. I'm gonna let you go first because I've played a lot more of the game too. Like through my various streams and stuff, I've given a lot of my impressions, and so I'm curious to hear about your impressions. How many hours have you played? What are your thoughts? All that fun stuff. Yeah.
Okay. So I've probably played like 13 hours about now. It's not too much, but it's a good amount.
For a week, that's a good amount.
I guess so, yeah. And I chose the Corpo.
Okay.
I don't like spoil anything, but in the beginning, like I really wasn't paying too much to the story. I was more just blown away by how beautiful the game is because like they really like just set it up to be just a cinematic, just beautiful game the entire time. And also on GeForce Now you can I don't know if what you know in this, but you can turn everything all the way up on GeForce Now and it looks really good. There's barely any like video compression. But
I know.
Yeah, so probably feel like what.
I was gonna say I know we were talking about like where you would look and see like out in the real world and you would say, oh, that's RTX. I actually had a moment like that literally just today because it was snowing, right? But it was enough to where it was like melted on the road, so it looked like it had rained. And so I got to a stoplight and it was dark outside, and so I saw the reflection in the puddle, and I'm like, oh, that's RTX, like Cyberpunk.
Yeah. You're like, wait, that's like real life.
Yeah, I had the exact moment. But yeah, it's a gorgeous game. But continue.
Yeah, it's honestly sometimes like it like feels like a render when you're looking at it. Like it feels like a really high quality like render. Like especially some of the like at least on the main story, they do like at least the prologue. A lot of the buildings they like brought you into were just crazy looking and just like I said, I didn't pay attention too much to the story for like probably the first like 5 hours of the game because I was still just getting used to just.
So the intro.
Yeah, exactly. Like I barely remember the intro because I'm just like, oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. My impression is it's been very fun. Like I have not had a dull moment in the game,
It's been very fun. Just the way you present. I'm sorry. Continue.
But gosh dang it, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, I just been driving around. I haven't done a lot of missions really. I've done a few of the story stuff. I've mostly been killing people and.
How do you feel about the combat in the game?
I love the combat, actually. Yeah, that's a good question, because I kind of forgot about the combat. I didn't think
I kind of forgot about the combat. I love the combat.
No, I do. I love it.
I know
like
what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean.
There's just so much to that game, like, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff there.
I'm honestly, like, still not even, like, I'm 13 hours in, and I'm still, like, I feel like an amateur around, like, the menu. Like,
yeah, there's a lot, and there have been some reviewers that have said that there's almost too much. Like there are people like I barely touched the crafting system or like anything like that, and it's like I can kind of see where they're coming from because there's almost too much to do, but also that allows you to play however you want,
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Like they do a really good job though of like if you don't want to mess with the crafting, you don't have to. Like you can play so many different ways.
Yeah.
And that, like, just from like looking at the upgrade tree and stuff, like you can play.
I feel like this game is a nightmare for completionists, but it's
Yeah.
because there's just so much, stuff that you can do in the
Well,
game.
yeah, because you almost gotta like, it's like a choose your own adventure book. Like if you want to like do a different run, you almost gotta like choose, like make a different character and like give him a persona. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. I mean, this game encourages you to do as much as you want and explore and do that sort of stuff where you're almost hurt if you don't. I mean, because again, I have 50 hours in the game. I played my first run through. I was Nomad, and I played it sort of like not 100%, but like I did a bunch of side quests. Like I probably spent half of my. It was about 35 hours is how long it took me to beat the game. I probably spent about half that time doing side missions almost. And so then my second run, I just went to try to completely just burn through, go as many, main missions, as little side stuff as humanly possible. That game is hard as hell if you do it like that. I also played on a harder difficulty, so that was part of it. But like also, I was kind of an expert of the game at that point, so that's why I played it on hard because then I was like, okay, I know what I'm doing. But that game gets so hard. For instance, I was telling Bakel about how I faced this one boss who is, in my opinion, the hardest boss in the game. He's not the final boss, but he's one of towards the end of the game. And I was playing it in that difficulty, and it was so stupid. There was one point where he simply kicked me, and I was dead because I was so underleveled. And it's like, this game, you do not rush through the game. One, it's not really a good game when you play it that way. Like, don't get me wrong, narratively, there's a lot of really cool stuff, and I think the narrative is very strong in this game. But there's just so much lore in Night City and with the nomads and the street kids and the corpos and all of this stuff that, you want to explore it, and it makes it that much better of a game because unlike a lot of open world games, if you hear about something, like if you hear a little bit about some of the lore and, you're curious to find out more, in Cyberpunk, there is most likely a way for you to find out more. If you explore some certain area or you keep in contact with a certain character, there is always more information to be found about that area of the lore. And it's like the main quest line is so limited in story compared to the rest of it, where it feels like there are so many side missions in the game where they are side jobs, but they do not feel like it. Like, they feel like they are necessary to play in the game. So it's like heavily do not recommend you only stick with the main missions, because so much of the plot is tied to all of the main missions and around the characters you meet and exploring and doing all that sort of stuff, that it is a much less memorable experience if you stick with the main story. But yeah, screw Oda. He can die in a hole, but other than that, yeah, it's a hell of a game. It's a hell of a game. I would still be playing it if it weren't for Game of the Year consideration stuff I've been slacking on. But yeah, Pickle.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I was daydreaming there for a second. But what do you think about like their, I guess, mission design? Like
I know what you're talking about.
How many ways you're allowed to how many ways you can actually finish.
Oh,
like,
okay, gotcha.
You know what I mean?
So level design.
Yeah, level design.
Yeah. Overall, like,
Did you like because I remember at least like there's like one mission in the prologue that I took one approach, and I ended up having to fight this guy who was like a really hard boss for me to fight, and I had no idea how to kill this man, and I just like kept dying, so I just eventually loaded back to a point, and I did it a different way, and I ended up having the guy on my team,
yeah,
fighting side by side with them against somebody else.
I think I know exactly which part you're talking about. Is it still in like the Corpo specific run, or is it still just like in the? Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit of a mixed bag because there are things like that where are very impressive in the amount of choices. There's like basically every single significant mission has some sort of optional objective for you to do, which can majorly change how the mission plays out. And, you know, it offers a lot of replayability. Like, this is one of the most replayable games I've ever played. And the reason I paused there is because it's not quite as replayable as it might seem. Because as I, you know, replayed and started doing this, just the main missions and stuff, there are some moments that are kind of seemingly like there could be a lot of difference there, but there aren't quite. But it's one of those where it's like, if you are going into this expecting, you know, each playthrough to be vastly different, like, you know, there's like 17 different endings and, you know, like basically the whole second half of the game is different depending on how you play it. That's not necessarily what it is, but basically everything outside of the main missions is completely unique to each playthrough. So I think this is the most differential game ever made in terms of how much weight your decisions have. But it's not quite at that like dream game that all of us think where it's like, you know, you make a decision at the beginning and it's like there's like 7 different games in this one game or something like that. Like it's not quite there, but it is definitely the most in terms of that. But the reason I say the level design is a mixed bag is because there's some things that it gets kind of video gamey and that something you do should technically have more weight than it does, but it doesn't want you to have that weight or that change because that'd be very hard to code. So it's like, like sometimes you can shoot somebody or kill somebody or like use stealth or not use stealth, and it should probably affect the rest of the mission, but it won't necessarily depending on how important that character was or what area you're in. And it's kind of hard to describe that without getting into too many spoilers, but yeah, it does get into that thing where it's like, because it's a video game where coding is involved and, you know, they can't do magic, you know, there are some points where it's like, yeah. And I think overall it's like, you know, don't be expecting like some sort of like god tier choice driven game or anything, but this is definitely, again, this is the best we've ever gotten. And so I don't want to say that it's bad by any means. But, you know, people, I just want to temper expectations a little bit. But yeah. So overall though, yeah, it's an incredible game. It is absolutely incredible. The amount of depth in this game is just nuts. The fact that, you know, it's an RPG, it's not a first-person shooter, but they nailed the shooting mechanics. Like, it's so accessible for people, too. Like, you don't have to be a COD player to do well in this game, you know? I thought they did a great job of basically merging an RPG and an FPS. It's so good. I will say
the aimbot on controller is pretty broken.
It is. That's why I'm saying it's accessible. Because like, you don't have to be good.
Like, I was playing, and if you just tap the aim and shoot basically right when you ADS, it will just shoot him in the head.
Yep.
Like every time, just... I'm like, cool. Pew, pew, pew. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. That's pretty much how it works. Yeah. But yeah.
The combat is really fun though, like the whole dashing aspect, and I do like that they added a countering too. Like I didn't think that was gonna be a thing, but I love how you can counter like attacks.
I'm curious. I'm surprised I haven't had this conversation with you yet, but I've been thinking the more I've played the game, the more I've realized here. Okay, bear with me on this. I think the best way to describe this game is a mix of Deus Ex, Mankind Divided, and Dying Light. Correct or not? Like, am I onto something there? I just feel like parkour, like take away the parkour. I'm talking like sound design, just aesthetic, like kind of like looks and like the melee weapons. Like I know you can't make crazy weapons or anything like that, but I feel like there's some DNA from Dying Light that got brought over there. I don't know if it's the first person, but like
I think I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah.
Like some of the weapons are very dying. Like I had a katana that had electricity on it, and I remember thinking, I was like, oh, this is just like Dying Light. I remember thinking
That's
that.
what I'm saying. Like, I just think there are, like, I feel like the developers of this game really love Dying Light, and they, like, used it as inspiration for some aspects of it.
Yeah, because the weapons are crazy. I love some of the weapons in the game. Like I said, they like the electric katana where you like slice people and they just like. Zzz.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of cool stuff there. But, yeah, I got some stuff with it. And, like, now I want the people, because honestly, the worst aspect, in my opinion, of Dying Light was the shooting. Like, those guns, they were so overpowered, but shooting in that game was just awful, in my opinion. I hated the shooting.
To be honest, so much of that game we played without guns, I don't remember the gunplay that much at all.
Yeah. I mean, that's because you didn't want to use them. If they're bringing back guns, which I'm sure they will, for Dying Light 2, like, I want them to sit down with CDPR and be like, hey, how'd you do that? Because that'd be...
Make our guns better.
Yeah. But, yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff about Cyberpunk, and it makes it such a shame that it is so broken on consoles, because it is such an amazing experience, and I'm excited to see how it plays on PS5. I'm going to pick it up on next gen, because I believe it will run well, because, that's some good hardware. I don't think that they will have to make compromises.
PS5.
Yeah. I don't think they'll have to make too many compromises, but when they do come out with the next gen versions, I will pick it up, and I'm interested to see how it runs. But on this last gen, it is just bad. But there's something a lot of people have been talking about, specifically because I follow some people in the accessibility industry, either that are blind or deaf, but like in gaming, and trying to provide accessibility in gaming. And they have made an excellent point that this whole debacle, people are upset, and Cyberpunk and CD Projekt are all responding and saying, we're going to try and fix this and do all that, and they're listening. Nobody does that when somebody says, hey, can we get some more accessibility options in our games? They just tell them to shut up, or, that sort of thing, and they get silenced and no one listens. But when you have a privileged white man asking you, hey, your game sucks, what happened here, then they cave. And it's like, it is sad. I'm not necessarily making this a race thing, because obviously this is, it's ableist. But, these people that we don't have any, like, we're fortunate enough that we don't have sight problem. I mean, you are colorblind, Bakel, but, like, we can... Yeah, we can see. Oh yeah, that's true. I have glasses. But
you're like, what do you mean?
we're not blind. We're not deaf. Like we don't have these issues, and we take it for granted sometimes a lot with gaming. And it's like, but these sort of huge blow-ups and everything, and all of the stuff that CD Projekt is now doing in response, it's like that doesn't happen when it comes to accessibility in gaming. And there's been a lot of really cool things, like that's why we're seeing now in like the Game Awards where it's like best in accessibility, and we're seeing a lot of other outlets making awards specifically for innovation and accessibility, like in Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and again, like The Last of Us Part 2 as well. They had a wealth of accessibility options, not that goes beyond like colorblind mode, but like they do stuff where it's like a lot of games nowadays I see in the options, it does text to speech. So the any text in the game is read out loud if you have, any sort of impairment in your eyes or things like that. And there's a lot of really cool accessibility stuff happening in the industry, but that's by no means the default. Plenty of games still don't do that, and hopefully we'll get to see a change in that. But it is sad that we're seeing such a big response when it's like, I mean, as we should, but we should be getting that also for anybody who has issues where when someone can't play a game due to a reason that is entirely not their fault, that should be heard and addressed, regardless of the reason why. Be it the game it does not perform correctly, or it is not accessible. I mean, it is an accessibility issue. Like, this is technically an accessibility issue because people can't play a game at 15 FPS with constant crashes. But
God,
yeah,
I cannot imagine paying $60 for a game just to play at 17 FPS and it crashes all the time.
Yeah. Like I can't imagine what the driving's like. Cause even on PC, I mean, my laptop will chug when I'm driving sometimes because of all the processing power, like loading in areas and buildings.
GeForce now, I will if like when everything's turned up like that and I'm driving, it will freaking like get framey sometimes, which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
It's like their server, I mean, their like racks are nuts.
Yeah. I can't imagine driving like high speed through Night City on an Xbox One or a PS4, base PS4. It'd be.
Oh my god. I can't imagine getting into third person in a car, because that just takes a toll. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that'd be nuts. But, you know. That's
Did you
Cyberpunk.
drive first person?
I did.
Oh dang, I never drove first person.
I'm definitely a third-person driver, but I wanted that immersion, and so for the most part, I did. There were a few times where I would exclusively drive third-person, but 95% of the time I drove in first-person. And sometimes it really sucked because sometimes the camera was way lower than it should have been, and like I could barely see over the dash. But I was like, nope, this is Cyberpunk. This is first-person. I'm gonna do it, and I suffered for it sometimes, but I am proud to say that I did it.
Yeah, crashing a car in first person is so disorienting.
Yes. like I don't know, it's very much like GTA 5, especially like when you're riding a motorcycle and then you crash and you like fly off and you're just like
yeah, and you just like see like a really weird camera angle.
Yeah. It is definitely that thing where you're just like where am I? Like you just kind of have to like reorient yourself a bit. But yeah. I did it though. Also, the driving absolutely terrible. I thought so at first. It grew on me. Okay. I compared it to Watch Dogs. Like that's how it felt to me.
Hold on. Did it grow on you, or did you just get better at using their shit mechanics?
Well, here's the thing. Cars, like, I don't know how many vehicles you've driven in the game, because I know the last we talked, like, you hadn't really driven a whole lot of different vehicles, but...
I've driven a bunch of, like, the premium stuff. Like, I've gone up to, like, the rich people places and stolen some of their cars. The motorcycles drive the best, though.
Well, I just think it depends on the handling. I think CD Projekt did a great job at making the cars feel different, and so I just think, like, for instance, the Nomad Path, the car you drive in the beginning... absolute shit show. Like I hated driving that vehicle. I like it now retroactively, which is interesting because there's a side mission where you can get it back, and I thought it drove a lot better. But I remember like that's one of the first things you do in the game in the Nomad Path is drive that car, and God, it was awful. But
I wonder if we have different cars, because like I got my car back. I don't know how I got it back, but like my car just like I did like a mission or something, and it just like said, "Hey, your car's back," and I was like, what?
That's different. So on the Nomad Path, you have a second car. I know the car you're talking about, and we have the same. But in the Nomad Path, before you get
your car, you have like an actual like
Nomad car. Like before you meet Jackie, and before you guys get into Night City and do all this stuff, you have a like basically broken down like hick car like that you use and go around. So yeah, but you still do get the vehicle that you're thinking of. That's in all paths, because when I played the Street Kid, I was like, am I going to get a different vehicle? I was thinking about that, and no, like that vehicle is the same. I just didn't get that Nomad vehicle that is specific to the Nomad Path. But yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It grew on me, but maybe I did just get used to it, and I think that's, for any game, it's kind of like sensitivity almost, where it's like, I know a lot of people that customize their sensitivity options. I personally don't. If I don't like it, I just stick with it until I get used to it, because I feel like that's how it's meant to be played. And so maybe that's what I did with the driving. I don't know.
Yeah, my biggest thing is like, I did not feel like the cars had any weight to them.
Yeah,
like,
I agree.
I could flip a car so easy.
Yeah.
Or like you hit like one little thing and you're like doing front flips in like the air, and then you're glitching out the game.
I mean, it's one of those things where I think for any racing or like any car driving in any game, you know, be it a racing game specifically or games like this where it's not the focus, you know, you have two main ways of doing it. Are you going to go for a realistic professional simulator racing experience or driving experience, or are you going to go for more of the arcade? And then there's different avenues you can go to it there, but it's like, you know, you definitely have to make more choices, because the more realistic and the more like weight you give to the car and that sort of stuff, the more you have to think about, you know, is the driving going to be too difficult for the player to the point where it's too complex or like it's not fun anymore. Whereas like, because some of the driving you do in the game, sometimes it's just plain hilarious and everything. One of the things I love is that like anytime you get out of the vehicle, no matter what speed you are, you don't just jump out. It just screeches to a halt and then you just calmly walk out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, I love summoning the vehicle because that thing will ram you over if you're not careful. It does not care at all. And then because it won't stop right in front of you. It'll get to you. It's to the fact that it can run you over, but then it'll just it's yeah. But
I love that car when you get to do it. The windshield becomes opaque.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Like it's like
yes, I know what you're talking about. I thought I knew what you were talking about, and I was wrong, but now I know what you're actually talking about. Those cars are sick. In fact,
Yeah.
there's one that is specific to the Street Kid playthrough. It's in the intro mission that you try to, as they say in the Cyberpunk lingo, you try to klep. But you try to steal that car, and it is so dope. Like, yeah, you go into the rich neighborhoods. Some of the cars they designed for that game are just so sick. They're so cool.
the world design and like the cars they built for that for Cyberpunk are pretty good.
Also, 100% Night City was modeled after LA. I know because I know an exact road in Night City because that's where my hotel was in LA. Like, I'm talking the exact building design, the street design, like the palm trees throughout, like everything on that road, like even the buildings like around the area, that was straight out of LA.
Like,
I'm not necessarily saying like all of Night City is modeled like a 1-to-1 ratio to LA, but it was definitely inspired because that was the exact, like I looked at it and I kept examining it and I'm like, no, this is definitely the same road because I've been here. Like, so it was definitely inspired by LA, and it's in California, so it could very well be what LA, you know, what was LA in the past. But because we know it's Southern California, somewhere in there. But at least that's what I've gathered from the lore. But yeah, so Cyberpunk. Have you encountered very many bugs?
I've encountered most of my bugs have been driving bugs.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly like my car is just being stupid.
Okay.
Or like it will. I've had some people get stuck in my car, like I accidentally run them over, and like their bodies are just clipped into my car, and they're just like ragdolling like the balloon man from on the car dealerships.
Yeah.
But then they eventually just despawn.
Yeah.
But probably the most game impacting glitch I've had has been when a boss didn't do its thing. It just stayed in an elevator and was just like stuck in place. Just
wait,
like, looking.
Is it in the heist?
I think
in
so.
the intro heist? Yes, I had that. I didn't have it happen on my first playthrough, but I had it happen on my second, and he just kept popping in and out. Like he was there and then he disappeared and then he would pop back in for a second and he couldn't shoot me because he kept popping in and out. And so I was just like shooting at the elevator and it was continuing to hit him even if he wasn't there. And it was so good.
I just threw a bunch of grenades in there. It just like blew up. I was like, alright. I could tell that guy was going to be really hard. He had like a big gun and stuff.
Yeah, he can shred through you if you're not like using cover or things like that. Because when I faced him the first time around, yeah. But yeah, that's something. Also, did you clear all the enemies in that area, or did you just kind of like try to go through as fast as possible? You'll understand why I'm asking here in a minute.
I don't remember.
Because the first time I just was trying to get through as fast as possible because I'm like, I'm not equipped for this. The second time, because I was playing on hard, it's very difficult to do that. So you kind of have to kill everybody, like Guns Akimbo style. But like, I did that. And if you do, it basically summons this like huge, all-powerful mecha robot that is like impossible to kill. Like at that point, I was like, nope, we're getting out of here. Like he had so much health. Like, but that's part of the things where it's like of different things.
I know which robot you're talking about now.
Yeah?
I killed that robot.
You did?
Yeah, with a bunch of freaking grenades.
Is it right before the garage?
Yeah, I know exactly, because he like came out of the sky, right?
Yeah. So if you kill everybody in that area, then he comes in.
Yeah, I think I know exactly, because like, because I've been playing, like I play Skyrim, and I don't really know like if I play fast or slow, but I try to loot everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess it's kind of slow-ish, because I definitely like go the whole map. Like I'll like look through every little nook and cranny to like get loot.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely see myself killing everybody.
Have you found this? Have you found the Sentient Pistol then?
No.
I haven't found it, but I've seen stuff from it. So there's a pistol in the game that it's sentient and it talks to you. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I haven't found it personally, but I've seen it. Like people have been posting about it, and yeah, there's all sorts of wacky stuff in this game, dude.
Yeah, the only thing I've seen posted are those mantis blades.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
Which I kind of want to get, but like I don't want to. I haven't read anything about where to get things because like I feel like this ruins the experience for me.
There's one side mission where you have to take someone to a Ripper dock because their dick implant is malfunctioning.
Did that?
Did you get him there?
Crotch.
Did you get him there? Okay,
Yeah.
because if you don't do it in time, he will explode. His dick will explode.
Really?
Yes. You have to do it in time. Otherwise, his dick will explode.
I think it's fire crotch in the phone.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yep.
Because he calls you later and gives you a little present for helping him.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I know exactly which one you're talking about.
See, I haven't played that either, but I saw it on Twitter, and I was like, that's amazing.
Well, because that was like the mission that got my car back.
I wonder if it's exclusive to one thing. Maybe it's exclusive to Corpo.
Well, I found him on the side of the road, and I told me to take him to the nearest Ripper, and my car all of a sudden just like rolled up, like telling me to like come take him there, like it was like part of the mission, like it just showed up, and I was like, I didn't have a car before this though. I was like, this is cool. I'll take my car back, but yeah, because my car got destroyed.
Yeah. There's a lot of cool stuff in this game. I mean, I've encountered a plethora of bugs. Like, not too many game breaking. Like I said, I had one where there was I was supposed to do a shootout in a vehicle, and it wouldn't give me a gun. It just held his arms up, and there was nothing there. And when I died inevitably and respawned, it still wouldn't give me a gun, and you can't swap weapons at that point in the game. Like, it won't let you because you're in like an important story moment. And so I had to reload a previous save, which sucked. And then I feel like there was another one. Oh, there was one where it wouldn't let me progress in the quest line because one of the enemies had I'm pretty sure they glitched into the floor, because every once in a while I would see, because he was highlighted, so it would have like a red outline. I'd see like just a smidgen of red pop out from the ground every once in a while, but I shot at him and it wouldn't damage him because he was in the ground. Oh. So I had to reload the save. But
the only time I've had to reload was I got stuck underneath, like, it looked like I was supposed to be able to go up there because like there was definitely like a loot, and then like there's like a little area next to it that like you could crouch, kind of jump into.
Mm-hmm.
And I crouch jumped into it and I got stuck. And I just like, no matter how hard I tried like sliding out, I tried crouching out, nothing. So I had to reload and kill everybody again.
There's this one side mission where you have to do like a little bit of like platforming. You kind of have to like navigate this area a lot, and it's really difficult and it's really hard. And so I was on like my third or fourth attempt, and I got past this really difficult part, and then the game crashed. And I was so pissed because I was like, dang it! I just made it! And so I think I've had 2 game crashes in total. 2 or 3.
I make my blood pressure go up for sure.
Yeah. After 50 hours, 2 game crashes is pretty good. But, yeah. So, yeah, we've definitely had some good experiences compared to some others. But
Oh, yeah. We're probably playing on the... I mean, we are playing on the best platforms-ish.
yeah. And so, you know, it's an amazing game. It's just... everything around it is bad.
If you have last gen, do not buy.
Do not buy. Not right now, at least. Maybe in the future.
Yeah.
We'll see how they try and fix it, but...
if they ever figure out how to do compression as well as the Switch team...
just get Panic Button on it. Get Panic Button. Those people...
For real, those guys are nuts.
They do magic. And they just... because they handled the Series X port of Forza Horizon 4. So they don't do just Switch stuff. They take contracts, you know, whatever. So CD Projekt, if y'all are watching, I'm sure you're not, but get Panic Button, get Panic Button to work on your game,
and it will be good.
Because they've already made money. Like from the pre-orders alone, they made the expense. So they have money. They can't say that they can't say that they don't have money to get a contractor in. Just, you know, get Panic Button, just be like, hey, I mean, that would suck for Panic Button because they basically, that's like handing them ribbons and be like, there you go, have fun. But like, if anybody can do it, they can.
Yeah, they're nuts, dude.
Yeah.
The fact that they got Doom to run the Switch?
They have handled the ports for Doom, Wolfenstein 2, Rocket League, Doom Eternal is their newest.
They did Doom Eternal on the Switch?
Yeah. And it runs fine.
I did not know that.
Yeah, it just came out like last week or 2 weeks ago.
Nuts.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
What else? Wolfenstein Youngblood also came on the Switch, and I actually played that at E3, and it ran pretty well. It's just like, you know, Doom on Switch, where it's like, it's obviously not the best place to play, but it is perfectly playable.
Which is amazing by itself. Like,
exactly.
The fact that you can play it.
And like, that's what people were expecting from Cyberpunk. It's not the best place to play, but it will be playable. It's not playable right now. And so...
yeah, 22 FPS is not playable.
Yeah. Yeah.
If this...
Switch
gets to get 30 on Doom Eternal, you're telling me the PlayStation 5 can't get 30 on... that's ridiculous.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think...
yeah, they were lacking hard.
I think it even runs as low as, like... I'm trying to remember. If you're interested, go watch Digital Foundry's videos on Cyberpunk. But I think on a 2013 Xbox One, it runs as low as like 432p at some points. Because, again, they have the dynamic resolution scaling. And so during like super intense shootouts and stuff, it can drop down to 432p to try to maintain the frame rate. And it still doesn't maintain the frame rate.
That's like... hurtful. Like,
it's so bad.
It's disrespectful to like your next gen or your hardware, you know? Like,
yeah. It's awful. Yeah. Awful job on that.
How do you buy something that bad?
Yeah. Especially something that you were apparently working on for like they definitely Now, a lot of like game developers have said typically how games are made is they're made on a high-spec PC and then they scale down to other platforms. But it seems like with Cyberpunk, they were working on the PC version until like 2 months ago and then said, "Oh yeah, we got to do the console versions."
Basically.
Like that feels like what happened is, you know, they did not think about the consoles at all until like a month ago and then we're like, "Yeah, okay. Let's do this."
I wonder if they just thought it was going to be easy.
I don't know. I have no idea. But yeah, it just definitely was not ready. But
yeah, but I am glad they released it for at least PC and like GeForce Now and stuff. They definitely shouldn't have released it for console.
Yeah. Should not. Like at this point, like you can't cancel it because it's already out. But like,
yeah.
Honestly, I would just consider it to be a lost cause at this point. Like if they fix it, great. But I wouldn't expect them to. I would just say, yeah, cancel your thing. Try and get it on next. Like if you can secure a next gen console, if you have one, just wait for that. If you don't have a PC, I would give up on hope for a playable version on these consoles.
Yeah, the fact that they're only getting at 432p, they're only getting like 17 frames still is baffling.
Yeah. Absolutely nuts. It's just a poorly optimized game, because games can do better than that. If Red Dead Redemption 2 can run on a 2013 Xbox One, then, Cyberpunk can do that too. Because,
yeah. What you doing? Come on.
Yeah. If Red Dead can run on a 2013 console, if God of War can run on a 2013 console, you can do it.
God of War is still a stunning game.
Mm-hmm. And to be fair, because I've heard some people saying, God of War's a linear game, Cyberpunk's open world, and so you've got a lot more assets. That's true. God of War is not the best game to compare it to. Red Dead, that's the game to compare it to. And it's miles better.
Oh, yeah.
The only thing that Cyberpunk has over Red Dead is more compression in terms of you have bigger, like higher density crowds, right? But Red Dead has a much larger map. And again, it's not like it runs a little bit better than Cyberpunk. It runs miles better than Cyberpunk. So
yeah, and just the atmosphere in Red Dead 2 is just so much like real.
Yeah,
it feels way more real than like even like the towns like Valentine.
Exactly,
like a real Western town. Some of the I've known even just some of the places I've walked around in Night City that just has felt like an NPC town.
Hell, Assassin's Creed Unity had similar crowd density, and yes, it was broken, but it wasn't as broken as Cyberpunk. Like, yeah.
I wish it felt a little more alive. The city at least.
Well, even in the console versions, like the crowd density is massively smaller than on PC.
Really?
Yeah.
And I probably have like a pretty big amount of people because I'm running it on like a pretty nice like rig.
Yeah, they reduced crowd density a lot on the console versions, and so that's not even something they can even necessarily say to an extent either, because they reduced crowd density a lot for the console versions because of the processing power it takes. But yeah. So, if you have a PC, congrats on Cyberpunk. If not, sorry for Cyberpunk. But, regardless, it's out. Those are our thoughts. Let us know if you have any thoughts or anything like that, all that cool stuff. Let's get into what we've been playing this week. We've already covered all of them, but we're going to do it again. I've been playing Cyberpunk and Hades. Like I said, I love Hades so much. I'm trying to do some Game of the Year stuff. So, I'm playing through Hades right now. I want to jump back into Microsoft Flight Simulator, Final Fantasy VII, Ghost of Tsushima, just really trying to get this stuff going. But so far, I've just dipped my toes into Hades some more. Probably going to play some later tonight, maybe, but we'll see. Bakel, what have you been playing?
Well, obviously I've been playing some Cyberpunk.
Wait, really?
A good amount of hours. Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, had a grand old time playing that game. And then I did play some Rocket League. I forgot
of course.
that.
Yes.
I played I think I played a match of Rocket League.
Yeah.
Oh no, I played a few matches, but I guess it was one day, so
couldn't be Bakel if there wasn't Rocket League involved.
Yeah, I think I play at least one session of Rocket League a week.
I feel like I heard something about next-gen versions of Rocket League. I don't know if you were the one who told me that.
Yeah, bro, 144 hertz on console.
144 or 120?
Yeah, on 144, I'm pretty sure, on console.
I'm going to fact-check you on that.
I think maybe it is 120 hertz.
I would understand 120, but...
It's probably 120.
Yeah.
But still.
Yeah, that's still really good. Yeah, it gets 120 hertz mode on Xbox, but not PS5.
It said it was going to. Like, Psyonix said it was going to.
Hold on.
They just didn't announce it for PS5.
So, let's see. They said something...
It said you can expect the features from next gen on Xbox to be on PlayStation 5.
So, Psyonix said, our team's main focus this year was our recent free-to-play transition and updating major features like our tournament system. Due to this, we had to make tough decisions on what else we could achieve. Enabling 120 Hz on Xbox Series X and S is a minor patch, but enabling it on PS5 requires a full native port due to how backwards compatibility is implemented on the console, and unfortunately wasn't possible due to our focus elsewhere. So there probably will be in the future, but as of right now, it's not on PS5. Because backwards compatibility sucks on PlayStation. But yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm sure it will come eventually, but as of right now, it's only on Xbox.
So, right, I mean, it doesn't really matter because I play on PC anyways.
But yeah, frames win games, man. But all right. So with that, we're gonna get out of here. We've been talking for almost 2 hours. I'm gonna let you know, Bakel, the only time I have these long ass episodes are with you. So I'm just saying, it's like I'm here with Trace and Justin all the time, and it's pretty normal. But like we get into conversations and we go off. We just keep going.
Yeah, we don't stop.
To be fair, we had a lot to talk about. Like this was a good week for discussion and all that stuff with Cyberpunk But yeah, it's a fun time. Hopefully we can have you on in the future more. But we can get some good stuff going. But this has been episode 31 of Game Patrol. Like I said, I'm Landon Plumley. That guy over there is Lucas Bakel.
Call me Bakel.
Yeah, so that's it. We'll be back next week. At least I will be. And, we'll see you then.